Makers Academy for Knowledge and Exploration of Trinidad and Tobago welcomes you to our sponsorship expo, where we discuss raising funds to create community-based innovation centers throughout Trinidad and Tobago. We'll be discussing here about some of the equipment that we have. Some of them are 3D printers, laser printers, CNC routers, augmented reality, virtual reality, and then some. We are looking at creativity and technology being merged together. So without further ado, let's go. My name is Akila James, the CEO and founder of M.A.K.E. And M.A.K.E is a non-profit organization that is geared towards building innovation centers equipped with what you are seeing here today, and also providing the training needed in order to get that up and going, right? So today we are talking about community-based innovation centers. I know you guys here are for different reasons. I just wanted to mention this expo was put together because we are trying to get an innovation center put right here at GVC, and we're looking to raise those funds. But I know you guys may want an innovation center where you are at, so we can also discuss that, right? So I'm going to tailor my presentation to meet you guys' needs as we go along. I did want to mention one of my favorite quotes that I mention most of the time. Amidst the rapidly evolving digital landscape, we must not forget the power of human creativity. Let us embrace this opportunity to empower ourselves and push the boundaries of innovation. I wanted to mention that because a lot of persons, when they see equipment like this, they start feeling like it's going to take my jobs, I'm not going to be able to do anything anymore. But as I mentioned here, it's to empower ourselves, and we cannot do anything without human creativity. This technology is to help build on what you know already. If it is that you have skills with your hands and you're only able to churn out a certain amount of product, the equipment is to help you churn out more. And then you can now use your level of human creativity to work on other things because you have time for that now. So 3 main points I wanted to talk about today was M.A.K.E and Point Fortin's history. Again, I'm mentioning that because we are in Point Fortin. We are trying to get an innovation center here, and we believe there's a lot of human creativity right here in Point Fortin that can definitely build off of the innovation centers we are looking to put into this community. Why innovation centers and M.A.K.E's initiatives? So M.A.K.E, again, as I mentioned before, is a nonprofit organization that operates and manages one or more community innovation centers in different communities, providing a space for people to come together, share ideas, and work on their projects. I do have other members on my board, J.L. Patrick, Michael Peters, and Bernadette Barkas. They all have teaching backgrounds. They also believe a lot of what we are doing here. They have been versed with tech, and they also want to see that community-based innovation centers grow within the community of throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Myself, my background is a bachelor's and master's in computer science, so software engineering is my field. But I definitely, again, believe in bringing creativity, that merge between tech and creativity, to bring something new. So M.A.K.E stands for Makers Academy of Knowledge and Exploration of Trinidad and Tobago, and we aim to support, promote innovation centers where individuals may come together to create, develop, and learn. So, as mentioned before, innovation centers are what we push, but we do work with other businesses that will actually bring that equipment along with the training. So the nonprofit is all about raising the funds to make sure that we have those innovation centers ready for the community. So Point Fortin, long before it achieved this borough status, was an oil refinery town. And I want to mention that because back then, when they were looking for new persons to join the team, work on the oil refinery equipment and stuff like that, they weren't really going to schools and making sure people had that training. They were bringing on apprenticeships. People will immediately put their hands to work and start doing that work, learning from someone who's already a specialist in that area. And we want to bring that same apprenticeship back. That is what innovation centers are about. I know a lot of persons are about running a course and so on and so forth, and we do offer those also. You are able to get a basic intro course, but what we want you to do is put your hands in a project and immediately learn how to get that done. Of course, you will learn the basics of it, the engineering of things, and of course make your own notes, but we don't want it to just be textbook learning and you have to come in and take notes all the time. It is immediately hands to work, learning, apprenticeship type vibes. And we also wanted to mention that back then they didn't even know that type of program that they were doing, which was the apprenticeship, was actually pushing a lot of science, technology, engineering, and math, which is STEM. That's what we're all preaching these days, and we want to make sure that Even though that's something back in the day that they didn't even know they were doing, now we know. And when you know better, you do better. And you definitely want to make sure to still nourish that person through apprenticeship programs. But you don't have to call it apprenticeship programs. It's an innovation center that is now pushing people to collaborate with each other and learn from each other. We want to make sure it's an open source learning for all, teaching STEM. I'm going to wrap our last 2 points up together. Why innovation centers? Innovation centers are here to empower entrepreneurship, foster innovation, retool skills, and educate the community. Again, we don't want persons to pull themselves out of the equation. A lot of people, when they see this, they immediately say, that's not for me. That's for the smart people. I don't know how to code. It's not about that. You know how to make jewelry with your hands. You know how to do furniture design with wood. You know how to do your own electrical. Come and find out about the equipment that makes that job easier. And you as a person who have already been in it, you think of the problems that come up when you have to deal with that particular industry. So now it's like, you will have the time to start thinking of more creative ways to meet those problems with the technology that you have never seen before. It will now push you to have greater ideas, greater ways of solving these problems and moving forward. So this is our 3D printer. So we're discussing on this side a lot of 3D printing and robotics at the same time. I did have a student, we did entertain some students, and I tasked one of these students to bring more of his teachers to come, and I said, well, if you bring enough, I'll make you a phone case. And so this is his phone case. He's supposed to come by today and pick it up. He was more than excited, right? So a couple of things that you see here, well, these are some items that have already been printed. This is a stationery organizer. You can put your pens inside here. This is a flask. You could put, or how we use it, we put loose things like screws, nails, and stuff in here, but you could also put water, whatever you'd like. This is just a small version. The items that we use to print, as I mentioned before, is going to be PLU and TPU. That's just the material it is that we are using. One is hard and one is soft. The harder one will be printing things like what you've seen here. The softer one will be printing 3D clothes like what you see over there. And some of these vases are a little bit flexible also, so it's based on how you would like to print it. You would say how thick, how hard, how tall, all of that good stuff is a part of the design. Also, we have our robotics program. So with the robotics program, we get our Arduino boards, which will teach you how to program and code and do all that stuff to get your robots to do what you need. All of these robots were 3D printed with our printers. This one is a light sensor. It follows the line that's on the page. So right here we have our CNC router. Our CNC router is able to cut wood. So some of the samples we have here, we have like a painting. We have, this was actually used as a plaque on an award. So it was, I'll actually see if I could get the picture and show you, but it was a part of an award setup. And again, another picture. This is a basket. Again, all the pieces were cut and then put together. And of course, a little bit of sanding is needed too. So this particular right here, that router, has to be switched out based on what it is that you are cutting out of the piece. So it's like these are different parts of what it is that you can replace it with in order to get the type of cut that you're looking for. This is a CNC router. This is actually one of ours cutting out a stool right here. And then we will put the stool together. Boom, in the end. This is the metal. It's using a plasma in order to cut. This is like you creating gates, you know, them fancy gates that it will cut the parts, but you still have to weld them together yourself. Right? So we use jewelry as an example we felt like a lot of people could relate to, because I do feel like I do see a lot of craftsmanships. On the side of the road, they're selling their jewelry, their bracelets, and so on and so forth. So this is one of our innovators that she started going ahead and cutting out jewelry. What I wanted to mention here is that when we started doing our robotics program, we couldn't keep 3D printing the parts how we needed because we needed our material to do other things. So we started making these for kids. So what we did is that you use the laser printer. Inside of here, the laser printer. Correct. The laser printer cuts out the parts. You put them together. And you have your little robot here. This one is a solar powered one. Augmented reality is an extension of your reality right here. So you're able to see items that don't truly exist in your reality, but it extends the reality once you have the equipment to work with it. So here you see a child holding a frog in their hand. This particular software was put together so that children can dissect frogs without actually having to kill a frog. But if you have, I have the cube in my hand. If I turn this around, Mr. James, I'm going to turn it. If I turn it, you can see, yeah. And we start to cut the frog open, right? And it will also tell you about the parts of the frog. Zoom out so it can show you the part. That's just, so it's the liver. So another entrepreneurial activity here is this arcade system. This particular arcade system alone can be sold for about $5,000. We probably spent less than $500 putting it together. So this is a monitor, and all of the games that they will play are loaded onto what is considered a Raspberry Pi, right? This is the system. You load all, there are 3,000 plus games on here. The buttons and the joystick that you see were all 3D printed by that 3D printer right there. And all these parts were cut with the CNC router over there. So the only thing that we paid for was to get the vinyl stickers put on, right? Which, again, was very affordable. And then now you can play a game. So, again, this is an entrepreneurial experience. If the kids want to put something together that they've seen, all of the equipment here can do that for you. Nothing that you can think of cannot be made using it. That's why I said, if you guys let us know what you need, we will tailor the items, the equipment, to what you are trying to get. Because there's nothing that you can't get done. So this is a censored hand sanitizer. When you put your hand, it works. It is off right now because we've been here since last week and a lot of students have messed with it. So some of the motors are, you know. So, but you can see in the video here, I'll let him tell it.
Automatic hand sanitizer dispenser. It has a transistor, a resistor, IR sensor. There's a pump inside of a bottle, and there's the infrared sensor. When you put your hand close to it, it tells the transistor to send power to the pump, and when you move your hand away from it, it stops the power. I, as one person, love technology and gaming and all those stuff, and this teaches me how to do it so I could do it for myself and I could enjoy what I made.
Right? Jabari is 13 years old. This came about during, our COVID lockdown. He wanted to come up with some ideas of building a robot that would meet the COVID standards. He was like, the first thing I want to try is just make my own sanitizer system. So he went ahead and he did that. He had built multiple of the robots that we have on display over here. And so he comes with his own problems, and that's what we want to foster when it comes to students. Come with your problems, let's create solutions, let's prototype, let's test, let's keep moving forward. How can we get this going, right? And then it is up to the student to decide when is the end point, or how, is there ever an end point? I have a beta version, do I need to make another version now? And 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, we don't want them to feel that there's a stopping point. And that's another reason why we don't really consider courses, because courses say, okay, you're at the end now, you're done. But no, we want you tell us when you're finished. Let us know how many versions and systems you want to keep doing. How do you want to improve on the system you have already? Or do we need to scrap it and try something completely different, right? And lastly, as I had mentioned before in the beginning when we were all working around the room, this is my sustainable fashion clothing line. It's my beta version that I have worked on. These are parts of a top. We were playing around with different fabrics. Everything is 3D printed. Again, if I don't like it, I can melt it down and print it again. Makers Academy for Knowledge and Exploration of Trinidad and Tobago thanks you for taking the time, effort, and energy for coming to our sponsorship expo. As we discussed, we talked about community-based innovation centers equipped with all of the items that you see here. We look forward to empowering students and persons on an everyday basis, merging creativity and technology together to then bring forth new possibilities that we didn't even think about before. Thank you.